Hello, everyone. Welcome to Diamond Classic Touch. Let us go through this makeup tutorial together. So, before we started with the makeup itself, we went in with a micellar water and cleansed her face. We need a clean base to work with. So, we cleansed her face, went in her brow hairs, and make sure her whole face is cleansed. Then we went in with a hydration spray to add some moisture back to her face. We took out the room from her eyes, but I didn't have that on record. I'm sorry. Before we applied the under eye collagen mask. Then we did not trim her brows for this look, but it was good enough to work with. So we just went in with the brow gel, allowed that to dry for a minute before we went in with her her shade of compact powder. And for this, I used the Jade Race compact powder in the shade chocolate. Now from there, we went into outline the shape of her brow, and I used this dark brown gel liner to do that. Now, Naa Adoley is a very lively person, I must say. She made her whole makeup session so fun, even though I was tired, but because of how nice it was to work with her and on her, I didn't feel the tiredness as long as I was with her. That was really nice. So if you're watching this, Naa Adoley, thank you for coming. I appreciate you so much. So we went on to draw hair-like strokes to depict the natural shape of her brow. Now, sometimes we might do a little extra than this, but for the sake of this look, this is what we did. In drawing the brows, you want to make sure you comb out as much as possible to make sure that the hair strands are falling in in the alignments that you need so you don't miss out on anything. Now when the brow was okay for us, we went on to moisturize her face. Then we took off the under eye mask from her under eye, massage that in a little bit before going under her eye with the moisturizer. And for this look, we used the Blossom Moisturizer, which was good for her combination skin. Yeah, she has a combination skin, but very smooth texture. So we applied the moisturizer and then we sprayed her face with a sweat block because she sweats not too much, just a little. She sweats. So this is a sweat and oil block that we use for her face. We allowed that to dry down and then we went ahead to apply the mattifying primer on her T-zones so it can soak up sweat around her T-zones. Pardon me, those of us who know how I sound would definitely know I'm tired from the way I'm sounding right now. Please pardon me. The girl is tired, but I decided to do this today, so let's do it. So while the mattifying primer was drying down, we went ahead to apply the vitamin C face serum to her face. We made sure the skin prep was not too much product, but everything essential to make sure her skin is safe before the makeup and the makeup would last um the whole day was what we did. So this was for studio photo shoot, and I think it lasted for about 5 to 6 hours before we cleaned it. So after the vitamin C serum, we went ahead to conceal her brows, and we used the Younger Beauty concealer for hair highlighting. This was 2 shades lighter than her shade. And then we used the J Drace um, foundation and concealer for the rest of the concealing parts, which was not too much highlighting. Wanted something that would mimic the natural shade of her skin. So when the brows was done well enough for us, we went ahead to apply the setting spray to her face, and then we went in to do her eyeshadow. And before we get there, let me say this. For her concealer, we selected a shade that was just 1 shade darker than her skin shade, which was because we're not going to do contouring, but we bronzed, and the bronzing was just light enough for us. So we used just a shade darker for her foundation, so that it could blend well with the bronzing since we were not contouring. So this was us going in with the foundation. This was the Adventure foundation. Um, I think in espresso. Yeah. Um, so you would see us applying it in bits, and as we applied it, we hydrate or we set the foundation before we blended it on in. So let me know what you think, if it turned out well for us when we did that, in the comment section. Now, this was us applying the lip oil, and this classic makeup lip oil is so good. I like how it always comes out when I use it, and I like the smell of it. So we went on to blend in the foundation with our makeup sponge. This is the Adventure makeup sponge. That is what we use for the blending of this makeup. So let me allow you for a minute, sorry, to enjoy the makeup process. I'll come in as to when I need to share with you anything that you might be missing. So right now you can see the foundation, the shade of the foundation prominently here, because we went higher, and it's quite obvious to see where the foundation is. And I think it looked almost the same with the shade of her neck. So we're glad we tried that. We let her raise her hand so we could see if it was matching. Her face is a little lighter than the rest of her body, but it still worked. So here we applied the blush, and we went in for a subtle blush look. This was a blush from the Becham Ageless Blush and Lip Palette. Yes, this is what we used from that. palette. And then we went ahead to apply a concealer to her under eyes, her chin, her cubic area, the bridge of her nose, and then her forehead area. The concealer we used here was the Jade concealer. I think it was in the shade Amber. Yeah, that's what we used. For her concealing and for her highlighting, we used the Younger Beauty concealer, the same shade that we used to highlight her brows. So here we were just um, blending the concealer together, making sure it's smooth enough and it is dispersed well enough. The placement was especially for the forehead. Um, we are glad we didn't go further back. We just kept it in the middle before we let it sit for a minute and then blended in to diffuse whatever was left on the sponge to the rest of her forehead area. So over here, um, you could see my left hand was resting on the headrest of the makeup chair. If you are using the director's makeup chair style, then you would have the headrest to use, which is a good um, feature that comes with the chair. So if you're contemplating on getting a makeup chair and you have the option of the director's chair, kindly do well to select that as it um, comes with a headrest. So after blending out the concealer, went in to brighten her under eye and then and her nose bridge just a little bit on her chin, her cubic bone. The outer line of her eyes, and we let that sit for a minute. As it said, the rest of her face was already tacky enough to accept the compact powder. So we went ahead to apply the compact powder. We used the Jade compact powder in the shade Amber for her face, and then where we needed to bronze a little, we used the Flawless Ivy compact powder in the shade Ebony. So here we were blending the concealer with the powder puff, and we liked how it turned out. Powder puff was easy to handle because it was just our fingers in the handling and directing where the products should be placed. So for the outer eye um, concealer placement, we're trying to wing it a little. So that was what we did over here before we went in with the pressed powder. And before, if you are doing a makeup, before you go in with the pressed powder or the setting powder, always make sure to go back in the under eye to blend again, to take out the creases or to smoothen out the creases if there are any creases on the under eye. So this was us going in with the setting powder. So we set it under eye first before we went ahead to set her chin area. Mind you, we had already applied compact powder to her face when we were given time for the lighter shade concealer to sit for a minute before we blended for the highlighting of her face. So here we're adding on the blush, and one of my favorite part of makeup application is blush application. I just like the color it adds to the whole makeup. Yeah. And then we set the powders with the Kiss Beauty setting powder before we went ahead to work on her eyeshadow. Now for her eyeshadow, we just used the rest of the eyeshadow that was left on, sorry, the rest of the concealer that was left on the mixing plate on her eyelid. We let that sit for a minute. As that was sitting, we went ahead to work on her lips. So for her lips, we are still using the Bicham Ageless palette, and this was the darkest shade of brown on the palette. We used that to outline her lip before we went ahead to add the color to, let's just say, almost the middle part of her lips. So for her lip, we didn't do anything too dramatic, just a little bit of color to the middle of her lip before we went in with um, one shade of pink. So we were using the Zikel palette here to set the concealer on her eyelid before we went in with the eyeshadow itself. And for this eyeshadow, we used the Silver MAC eyeshadow. I don't know if there is a new one, but this is the one that looks like a Bible when you hold that. Yeah. So we started with her transition shade of brown before we used um, a dark brown. It's like a brown and blonde shade of eyeshadow for her outer corner. And for her inner corner, we went with this nude um, pink look. We're actually going in for a gold eyeshadow, but went ahead to go in with nude pink before we went in with the gold eyeshadow powder. So we tried our best to reduce the size of the shape of the eyeshadow placement for the nude colors. Now with a gold color, which is not a shimmer, it's just a gold dust powder from her from the silverback powder eyeshadow palette. Sorry, this is a gold highlighter that we used before we used the um, eyeshadow powder. This was because we were not going to apply the eyeshadow to the inner corner of her eye eyelid. That was Jennifer liking the makeup already. So this is the eyelash glue from Eva. It doesn't stick very hard, so sometimes we use that to hold the eyeshadow, whether it's a shimmer or a powder. You want the eyeshadow to come out popping. You can use this Eva glue. It would do the Lord's work for you. So this was the gold eyeshadow we used. For Naa Adoley, you can see she was relaxed, she was calm, she did not give me any kind of trouble. Oh, I'm sorry. So, this is actually a gold eyeshadow pigment. Forgive me, forgive me. So we applied that in bits, just making sure it covered everywhere we had a glue on first before if we needed to extend it, which we did. We extended it a little further from the placements of the glue. So when applying the eyeshadow pigments, you would appreciate it better if you do it in bits. Yeah, you do it in bits. So we went in with the gold eyeshadow powder before we went in with the eyeshadow pigment. After the pigment, we went back with a brush that had a powder on without going back for more product, just applying whatever was left on the product. This was Naa Adoley. After eyeshadow, we went ahead to apply her eyeliners before we did her eyelash application. So for eyelining, we allowed her to close her eye completely without um, blinking so much, just keeping her eye relaxed. That was good enough for us to wink her eye and apply her eyeliner. And then for her bottom eye, we used um, a dark powder from the Silver Mark powder palette, the 12-in-1 powder palette. So we did a little wing lining for it. It was just a little, just a little. Yeah, that was enough. That was nice. Yeah. She has big eyelids, so it's a wide area to work with. That's one beautiful thing about her that I appreciated. But um, we went in with more shades of brown for her outer lids, and in the inner or the spots where we wanted to show more, we went in with the colored eyeshadow powders and pigment. So for the eyelash, we went in with a mink lash, and we used the classic eyelash glue, and it did well for us. Liked it. Yeah, I was trying to ask if she was fine. She said she was fine. I checked if it looked okay. It needed a little bit of alignment to the left side, so we did that, and we fixed her lash at her right eye. So from here, everything looked good. We applied um more, just a little powder to her inner corner to smoothing out, just a little powder. This is not a setting powder, this was a compact powder. And it was from the Sylvie Mac 12-in-1 powder palette. Yeah, we were applying the highlighter. We used the gold highlighter. So we applied with a brush, and then we um, tucked it in with our fingers. Highlighted her nose, and whatever was left on the brush we used for her forehead area. Now we set the whole makeup before we sprayed with a Sylvie Mac fixing and seal spray. We took off the band. There was a little bit to fix for her hairline, and we did. Now it was a very simple hairstyle she did herself, and here we did a review, and she was happy about it. I'm so glad she was. She tried to open her phone. Her phone could not recognize her, but take a minute to look at the video very, very well. She absolutely liked her makeup. It was not too much, and she was also happy about the fact that we did not have to trim her brow, because she's not really an everyday makeup girly girl. But yeah, it was her. She liked it, and we definitely liked it. She kept looking at herself, appreciating. Actually, she took time to appreciate everything: the brows, her lashes, her lip work, her eyeshadow, and the overall makeup. Yeah, and that was nice. If you enjoyed this bridal makeup tutorial, please give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to Diamond Classic Touch, turn on your notification bell so you don't miss our next video. If you're a bride looking at getting a bridal makeup artist in Accra, Ghana, kindly go to the link in our bio or visit our Canva website, view our bridal packages, get in touch. Let us have you put on our dates for 2026, 2027 brides, and then let's create beautiful looks together. Thank you so much for watching. You can also follow us across all our social media platforms as Diamond Classic Touch. Until the next time, stay beautiful, stay confident, and remember, Miss Diamond loves you.